The government today says it aims to move more senior civil servants out of London.
Yes, the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, Pat McFadden, joins us from Salford. Very good morning to you. Now, the main part of this interview is going to be about council tax debt, because we have been flooded with questions and experiences on this. It looks like it's a growing and really difficult problem, and it's one that Martin has been campaigning on. So I will hand over to him in just a moment. But first, we just want to talk about this proposal to move civil service jobs out of London, redistribute them across the UK. Can I ask, though, Daily Mail is reporting that Keir Starmer had promised to cut the size of the state, then scrapped Tory plans to cut civil service numbers by 66,000. And meanwhile, the Whitehall blob has grown by almost 1,500 in number. What's going on with the civil service, which you said you would slim down, and now looks like it needs a weight loss jab?
Well, it's been growing for about 10 years. It's grown by about 120,000 over the past decade. And what we've started to do is initiate voluntary exit schemes. We've got one in my own department, which just came into force in the last couple of months. That will start to make it easier for some people to leave in a kind of no-fault way. I was quite surprised we didn't have something like that in the civil service beforehand. So that's something that we want to bring in. And today, as well as that, we are announcing that we will reduce the headcount by 12,000 in London over the next few years. That will save over £90 million on leasehold and renting costs, because of course property is significantly more expensive in London. And it will also help us create good jobs in other parts of the country. I'm speaking to you from Salford this morning. We want to create a digital campus here with good links to the local universities. I want to create an energy campus in Aberdeen. What I want to see is a civil service that is closer to the economies it serves and that speaks with all the accents of the country and not just one.
OK.
So, hello, it's Martin here. You're in the Cabinet, you have a broad portfolio. I knew you were coming on the show, so I gave you pre-notice of this question because I wanted it to be something you were briefed on. When a financial services firm, a credit card firm, even a payday lender has debt, they have a consumer duty. The consumer duty says they must look at what's in the consumer's interest first. It means if they're collecting debt, they have to signpost them towards help, go through it gradually, and it would take 6 months to a year before they can throw bailiffs in. When it comes to council debt collection, it would make banks blush. It is so aggressive and so rapid. Within 3 weeks, if you miss one monthly payment, they can ask for you for a year. 2 weeks later, they can take you to court. A week after that, you can have bailiffs at your door. 6 weeks from missing one payment, bailiffs at your door to pay for a whole year's worth of charges plus additional costs on top, which aren't proportionate. I would like to know, do you think that's acceptable, that constituents are treated far worse than customers?
Well, we're consulting on changing it, is the truth. And in particular, this point of the system where when somebody falls into arrears, they're expected to pay the whole amount. That's obviously very difficult for people. So we're consulting on changing that so that there can be a reasonable period of time over which people can pay their debt. I would hope that councils approach this with sympathy and understanding. They of course have a duty to try to collect the council tax because they need that to keep the services running. But when someone gets into difficulty, I would hope that councils approach it with some sympathy. Because that's not been happening in some cases, we are now consulting on changing that. You'll be also aware that some councils have this system where you pay over 10 months, not 12. We want to move more towards the standard 12-month payment period. That'll be a wee bit less every month than dividing the bill by 10. But on that point of arrears, I think reasonable payment plans are something that should be in place.
So just to say to anybody, if you're in England and Wales, you can automatically opt to 12 months now. You have a right to that. You say you're consulting on this, which I am delighted on. I've been campaigning about this for the last year, and today's the first I've heard of it. Could you give me more details? What type of consultation will it be? When will it be put out?
It'll be put out soon. My colleague Jim McMahon, the local government
consult
minister...
on it. It's not you're consulting, you will consult on it.
Yeah,
that's a commitment today. I'm wonderful, marvellous. Carry on.
My colleague Jim McMahon, the local government minister, will be in charge of this. He will lead on it, and he and the local authorities will be trying to balance these two things. As I said, they have to try and collect the tax because people need it for local services. There is an obligation to pay, but I think a reasonable consideration of circumstances is right. And the thing that is quite focused on some of the hardest cases is this idea that when you get into a little bit of arrears, suddenly you're asked to pay the full whack, the full year's bill all at once. That's quite difficult for people. So I think looking at that is the right thing to do, and that's what we want to do.
So then may I ask you, we've just had a local election, there are some new Labour councillors, there are some Labour-controlled councils. 85% of councils use their full powers and do this rapid, voracious debt collection within 6 weeks, catastrophising finances. Do you have a message to Labour councillors, as a Labour cabinet minister, if they're looking at this before you do your consultation? What would you say to them if they go into their council chambers and realise their council is one of those who uses these full powers every time? Message for them at all?
Well, I suspect the picture will vary a bit around the country, and I think, you know, as a government, we speak to councils controlled by all political parties, of course, but with regard to Labour councils, I'm sure they're trying to balance those twin duties, as I said, of trying to collect the tax, but also do it in a way that understands people's circumstance. I would hope that's what they do. I think that's, you know, what most Labour people would want to see. But as the government, the consultation I referred to, that will of course be with councils of all political colours. Well,
I'm delighted. I'm counting it as a big win this morning, so thank you very much for that. While you're on, one final thing. We know you're very close to the Prime Minister, who last week said there'd be no change on winter fuel payments. Now, I know many people talk about increasing the threshold from the very low £11,800, which is what you need to be earning less than to get pension credit, which is what gets you winter fuel payments. I would like to see that threshold raised, but let's ignore that. You came in. There were 800,000 people who were eligible for pension credit not claiming, therefore earning less than that £11,800 threshold, who aren't claiming pension credit, so don't get winter fuel payment. There are now 700,000. Is that something you find acceptable? 700,000 of the most vulnerable pensioners, they fulfil your criteria to get winter fuel payment, but you haven't done enough to make sure they're getting it. Is that acceptable? Is that still a no-change situation as well?
Well, we made quite an effort on this, and there's been a sort of long-term problem of people not always claiming the things to which they are entitled. And in the run-up to Christmas, you know, we really went out there. We employed extra people to do it. We encouraged people to apply, even if they applied and they were turned down. They didn't really have anything to lose by applying. But you know, it's been a long-term issue that the entitlement to pension credit hasn't been taken up by some of the people that are entitled to it.
I'm going to interrupt you because I'm flabbergasted that you're saying that. You're quite right. I've been campaigning on getting people to be eligible for pension credit for getting on for a decade. But you linked winter fuel payment eligibility to pension credit, which we know is a flawed system. You therefore, you're just sitting here saying, we know there's a flawed means test in pension credit, so why the hell did you link winter fuel payment to a flawed means test? I mean, it's almost what you're saying makes it worse.
No, I don't think it makes it worse. We chose that level because that was a level where people are entitled to extra help.
But you know they don't claim it.
Well, we encouraged them to claim it as much as we possibly could. That was the level where we thought the need was greatest, that sort of level of income. But of course, we always want people to claim the benefits to which they are entitled. Some people just don't want to claim. And we've tried very hard to get the information out there to pensioners. Claim what you're entitled to. That's what I would say to any pensioner who's watching the programme this morning, because that's what pension credit is there for. It's to help pensioners with a low income. And some people don't know they're entitled to it, but they might be.
Pat McFadden, Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, I'm delighted to hear that you're going to be consulting on council tax debt collection. It is a big problem. I will absolutely be replying to that consultation, hoping to talk with more of your colleagues on it. As for winter fuel payment, that story will run and run.
Thank you.